Hey everybody, Detective Fun Guy here. We're back with a different tutorial. For this, we're going to paint a treasure hoard for Dungeons & Dragons. So, for this, you may have noticed I already base coated all this in gold, but for right now, we're going to make sure we get all the places with gold. So, for this, we're going to reapply a base coat of Retributor armor. So, check out the gold paint like so. What we're going to do is basically, take some Retributor armor, put it on our table, and basically, we're going to re-base coat anywhere that we might have missed with the gold. And just take your time, and just make sure that this is just how it is. Now you may notice I did base coat some stuff that isn't gold, but don't worry, we're going to fix that here in a little bit. And also you may notice there's also some other accessories like gems. We are going to base coat the gems a different color, but some of them we're going to leave gold. I'll show you why in a minute. Alright, with the gold now drying, we're now going to base coat the treasure chest. So for the treasure chest, basically what we're going to do is going to base coat the wood. For this we're going to use Marnfang Brown. So shake out the paint like so. Let me get this Morgoth bone out the way. So, alright. Shake out the paint. Basically what we're going to do is going to thin it down. Thin it down with a little bit of water. So basically, you just want to avoid the gold trim on the chest. You could do the treasure chest with a silver pad lining if you want, but we're going to keep it gold. So for this, just base coat everywhere where the wood is going to show. This may take 2 thin coats, but don't worry. But don't worry, just take your time. So that's the top part of the chest base coated. Basically, going to take some more paint. Basically, we're going to base coat all the other parts of the wood right here. So this little flat panel right here. This may take a little while, but don't worry, just be very, very careful. Alright, now with the chest wood now base coated, we are now going to shade the gold, which is basically all the coins. So for this, we're going to use Flesh Wash. So what we're going to do, check out the wash like so. And we are going to thin down this wash because it is rather thick, so we do need to thin it down. So this is a squeeze bottle, so we are going to squeeze some shade right here onto the palette. It's not much, because we don't need that much. Perfect. So basically, what we're going to do, we are going to take a little bit of water and just thin down the paint just a little bit. So we get a nice consistent mix that's not too thick. So what we're going to do, so basically, look at where all the gold is, and we're basically going to shade all over the gold with this wash. Just make sure it doesn't pool too heavily in the recesses or on the flat parts, or else it won't give you the nice shade effect that you're looking for. And also another tip as well, just don't overload your brush with the wash. We're also going to wash the gold inside the chest and along the other gold details right so. Alright, that's all the gold details washed. Alright, now with the wash now done for the gold, we are now going to wash the wood that's on the chest. So for this, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade. So basically, we're going to shake out the wash. You could, of course, use Agrax Earthshade, like for the gold itself, but then again, Agrax Earthshade is a brown wash, which can kind of over-darken the gold. However, it's a popular method, but I just wanted to use a flesh wash to give a little more warmth to the gold. Okay, so we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. We're just going to hold the little terrain piece steady. You can still call it a miniature if you wish, because, you know, not all miniatures are just like characters or whatever. Okay, what we're going to do, take the Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to apply it only on the wood, where we applied the Agrax Earthshade earlier. And we are going to highlight the chest up later, but we're just going to shade over the wood right now. Let me pick it up just so it's easier. But one little cool fact about miniature painting is that a lot of times there are miniatures, you know, that are, you know, like Yeah, like mostly made to look like characters, like for Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer. But no, this is one of the perfect examples because miniatures also come in inanimate objects as well, which they form like boats, planes, and in treasure hoards like this. And that is the wood shaded. All right, now with the wash now dry on the gold, you may, like I said earlier, there's a couple of gems, so we are going to pick those out right now. So for this, we're going to use a small little base coat of Stormhost Silver. So you may be wondering, why am I using Stormhost Silver? Well, it's because I prefer a nice bright shiny silver, so then when we add the gem paints, the gem colors later, it will look nice and consistent. So basically what we're going to do, you can do a lot of silver on this part, so basically what we're going to do is this. Take some Stormhost Silver, put on the palette like so. So basically what we're going to do with this is we're going to base coat all the gems that we see with this. It may take 2 thin coats on each gem, but it's really worth the time and effort. Just wherever you see a gem, just be very careful. See, there's a chalice right there and some other stuff, but just leave those alone. We're going to leave those base coated gold. I'll show you why in a minute. So, just continue base coating all the gems with Stormhost Silver. All right, now with all the gems now base coated, we are now going to focus on highlighting for the most part. So for this, we're going to go with the wood first on the chest. So for this, we're going to use Scrag Brown. So what we're going to do, take the Scrag Brown and shake it up. We're only going to highlight the wood on the chest, no other details at all. Reason being so that we can give the wood a little bit of a standout from the other parts of the model. So what we're going to do, take some Scrag Brown. We don't need to thin it down, we need to thin it down just a little bit, that's all. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is that if you look at these individual panels of wood, you do have to be very, very careful. So you want to avoid the recessed lines. So basically, I'm going to hold it very steadily, and basically what we're going to do is this. Just highlight the inside parts of the wood that we base coated earlier with Mornfang Brown and then shaded. So basically what we're going to do, avoid the recesses, that's all. And if you struggle with straight lines, just be careful. It'll be really worth the effort. See, that's one part with panel shade highlighted. So what we're going to do is this. Just continue anywhere where there's flat panels, like so. Avoid the recesses, and it'll be a really nice effect. And also for the sides of the wood, like so. You can also do this whole thing right here if you want. Because it's just one panel of wood. So, now with the treasure chest now highlighted, basically, I did say earlier we're going to do some red gems, but then again, there's a lot of red details on this anyway, so, I'm just going to leave them silver. So, basically, what we're going to do is going to start highlighting some of the gold coins. So for this, we're going to go back to a Retributor armor, but we're going to be a little more subtle. We're going to pick out individual coins. So basically, what we're going to do is take some Retributor armor. We don't need to thin it down. So basically, if you look where all the shade is, where it's settled, just avoid that, and we're going to paint it in some flat coins like so. So as you can see, it's a subtle detail, but it gives it a little more variety to the gold. And you can do as little or as many coins with this color as you want. I'm just doing a little bit so that way it adds a little more variety to the coins. And that's all the gold coins picked out. Okay, the next part for all the gold, basically what we're going to do is going to do a dry brush to sharpen the details. We're going to use Stormhost Silver. So, you may be wondering, why we're using a silver on a gold? Well, the reason being is because, unfortunately, gold cannot really highlight with just lighter gold because it will just look like the same. So we're going to use a little bit of Stormhost Silver as a dry brush, just very, very little. So what we're going to do, take some Stormhost Silver on our brush, and we're going to wipe off most of the paint on the towel. So what we're going to do, see the dry brush, we're going to wipe off most of the paint, and then, just dry brush and just dry brush. Just make sure it's super, super subtle. So what we're going to do, look at all the coins. So what we're going to do, just gently flick. See, as you can see, it's sharpening the details of the coins, as well it's not overpowering the gold. So we can still see the gold, which is perfect. See, it's subtly catching, and it's very, very subtle. That's exactly what we want. So that way we can still see the gold coins, and they can still remain gold. All right, and that's all the gold coins highlighted. All right, now we're going to focus on all the gems. So for the gems, we're basically just going to coat them in various contrast paints. We're not going to do any really like bright green gems because green is kind of difficult for me at least. So we're going to use Eldari Emerald for some of the gems. So what we're going to do, shake up the contrast paint like so. We don't need much, just very, very little. Shake up the contrast paint. So what we're going to do is going to open up our paint like so. We're going to put this on the palette like so, just a little bit. So what we're going to do, see where all the gems are. Just make sure you don't base coat them all with this. We're going to need a little bit for all the other gems as well. So for this, just pick out the gems you want to use for green. You, of course, can pick out all the gems or as many as you want or as little as you want, but I just want to add more variety to the treasure hoard itself. And I was also surprised, there's not very much gems, say, on this treasure hoard piece specifically, but then again, there's multiple different versions of it, so yeah. All right, and that's all the gems that I want to be green. All right, now we're going to pick out some of the gems that are still silver with some blue. For this, we're going to use Azurman Blue. So shake up the paint to contrast paint again. Basically, the reason being that we want to do some blues again, you know, just for variety. So we're going to do, take some Azurman Blue. We're going to put it on the table again. So basically what we're going to do is going to look out for the rest of the gems that we base coated with silver earlier. So for example, right here, just base coat the rest of the gems with Azurman Blue. Just making sure I look all over the miniature for the gems that I base coated earlier. Alright, and that's all the gems we want to be blue. Now, as I said earlier, we left some details gold because we're going to do like some sort of a bright red to it, or copper. So what we're going to do is going to take another contrast paint. We're going to use Flesh Tearer's Red. So check out the paint like so. The reason why I'm using Flesh Tearer's Red is because my past experience using Blood Angel's Red is kind of more orange-y. So yeah, it doesn't really give the darker red for metallic red that you're looking for. Now we are going to be very subtle with these details because we don't want too much red on the thing, so that way the golds can still stand out. So what we're going to do, take some Flesh Tearer's Red, put it on the palette like so. Basically what we're going to do is this, I'm going to base coat wherever there's red or copper. So what we're going to do, this is why we left over gold, is because if you put a red paint over a gold, it will look more copper than the metallic red that you're looking for. See, as you can see right here. So we have this little post right here. You could do the plate, but we're going to do the plate a different color. And also if you look there's a couple of chalices that need to be painted with Flesh Tearer's Red. Alright, let me make sure I just check, and good thing I did, because there's one chalice I would have missed if I didn't see it. Alright, and that's all the red details done. Alright, now we have that big silver plate on the pile, so we're going to paint that with the silver. So for this, we're going to go back to Stormhost Silver. So that way it can actually look bright and shiny, and it will look cohesive with the overall gold treasure hoard. So, shake out the paint like so, after I do that. But take some of the paint, put it on the palette like so. Basically, what we're going to do is this. So, base coat this entire plate using Stormhost Silver. You maybe want, well, we could leave it gold, but then again, this is too prime of a detail to be kind of gold, so we are going to do a different metallic. Make sure you get the sides of this as well. And there are some other subtle silver details like this lock right here. We're going to paint that in with Stormhost Silver. Alright, and that's the silver details base coated. So, what we're going to do, while that plate is drying, we're also going to focus on some other details. For this, our Stormhost Silver is still wet. Let me thin it down just a smidge. basically, what we're going to do is that even though I did a silver dry brush earlier, we're going to pick over some of the details with silver so it gives more variety. What we're going to do, just pick out some coins that you actually want to be silver, because sometimes when there's treasure, it's not all gold. There's also silver coins, doubloons, etc. Again, just pick out very, very little of the gold coins so that way you can still see the gold later afterwards from a distance. Again, just one last time, just be very, very subtle with this. Just pick out very little coins, just a few. Alright, and that's all the silver coins picked out. Alright, with the silver plate now dry, we are now going to shade it. We're going to use Nuln Oil. So, what we're going to do, check up the Nuln Oil like so, and we're going to paint this all over the treasure hoard. So, shake up the Nuln Oil like so, put some on the table like so. We don't need much, just a little bit. Basically, what we're going to do is just going to shade just over the silver detail like so, which is going to be the plate, and that's it. All right, and that's the wash applied. All right, with our treasure hoard almost finished, you may notice some of the parts have been a little dulled by the shade and stuff. So we're going to highlight those and make them more shiny. So for this, basically, we're going to use Art Coat Gloss Varnish. Gloss varnish is basically a varnish that helps protect the miniature from dust or whatever, but this has more of a shine to it, which is perfect for our treasure hoards. So what we're going to do, take some Art Coat Gloss Varnish. We're going to take quite a little bit from the palette, from the pot, just a little bit, just not much. Let me make sure I scoop more out. Now this is a little thick. You can thin it down a little bit if you wish, but then again, we don't really need to. So what we're going to do, look where all the metallic is, and we're going to basically cover all this with the gloss varnish. Just try to be careful and make sure it's not too thick of a coat, because if it does, it will dry shinies in some gaps and it will not appear to be one of the hoard. Just make sure it's very thin down. And just make sure you go around, like I said, and just make sure that it's not collecting in any of the recesses. And also one last detail that we almost forgot. Basically, you also want to do this on the metallic lining of the treasure chest. Not the actual wood itself, but you can fix that later if you wish. And that's the gloss varnish applied. Alright, and that's our treasure hoard done. With the gloss varnish now done, our coins, gems, and other details are now looking shiny. So, this is a way how you can paint your treasure hoards if you ever get these types of terrain for Dungeons and Dragons. But anyway, I really hope you watching painting this tutorial. Oh, happy painting. Bye bye.